Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are building in Brindleton Bay on a decent sized lot. I don't remember the exact size of this lot, but it's pretty big. And my goal was to make a larger family home. It didn't end up as large as I was anticipating. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, but I'm still really happy with the result, and I think I'm going to be calling this a Rustic Craftsman. Now, is it truly a craftsman style home? I don't really know. It resembled one, and I was kind of going off of a few different pictures on Pinterest of craftsman style homes. So I was kind of just going with it, but if this seems to be a different style, definitely let me know. And I do want to put out that this was done. This was completed in, I want to say, June of this year. Yes, I mean it. I did not misspeak. I mean June. Like literally the month of June 2021 is when I built this house. And the reason why you're seeing it so late is mainly because I completely forgot about it. I went through my raw footage. So basically when I'm recording builds, I have a designated folder for all of the raw footage to go to. So I have a folder and it's literally filled. I have to clean it out. I'm terrible at it. I don't delete footage once a build is done. Like I don't delete screenshots. It's a mess. So because of that, because I'm not good at it, is I went back through that folder and I saw a little video snippet of the exterior of this home. And I was like, I remember that build. Did I ever post that? Was that ever on the channel? So I literally went back through all of my videos up through, I want to say the beginning of the year, like January. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even post this. Like I didn't even finish it. Do I still have all of the raw footage? Did I accidentally delete some? Did I delete some of the screenshots? Like where am I at in this process? I had all of it. I had all of the footage. I had all of the screenshots. I even had the little ambiance snippet at the beginning. Thank you, past April, for one, building this home, but two, for not deleting everything and being bad about your organization, because that's the only reason you still have all of this stuff. And I'm so happy because I really, really loved this build. I don't know why I loved it so much. I think it's because it probably took me, I want to say a couple days to come up with the exterior. Again, I was going off of a few different pictures on Pinterest, but when I do that, I'm often combining a few different ideas, and it's really just to get maybe the look of the front of the home situated. I don't often follow floor plans exactly, and I say not often because there are some times that I definitely do that, but this one was basically just the front of a certain build, and then I just wanted to give it, of course, my own flair. So you can see that the exterior is pretty much done, and now we are working on some of the landscaping. And you can tell that this house is not filling the lot. And that was kind of my goal, but I'm glad I didn't because it also just gave, I don't know, just gave me so much more space to play around if I wanted to. I didn't fence in the whole lot. There's a significantly large backyard that has a few different activities. So in the end, it all worked out. But the landscaping was a little bit difficult because I wanted it to kind of look farmhouse-esque, but I didn't want this to be a farmhouse. So I really just worked on it in the front and then just went to the interior because I had no idea what I wanted it to look like to kind of wrap around the rest of the house. I didn't know if I wanted to fence in the entire lot. That's when I just hadn't made the decision yet, but we are on to the interior working on the floor plan, and lo and behold, it's very similar to a lot of the floor plans I was doing around that time specifically. With the, I want to say like the kitchen, dining, and living room spaces. I changed it up just a smidge because I realized how similar it could be to other builds that I had done, but it was a lot bigger than I was anticipating on the interior, even though it wasn't as large as I wanted it to be. I know it might not make sense. It makes sense in my head, but it might not make sense when I say it out loud. But the first room that we do work on is the kitchen slash dining space. There's kind of a combined space here. There is a breakfast table in the kitchen, but then there is a formal dining room right through the archway. There's like a fireplace there too. I think it looks so nice. And the color scheme for the interior is very light compared to the exterior, which I feel is very dark. Like there's a stark contrast between the exterior and the interior. And I really enjoyed that. I actually really liked it. I've been trying to get a little bit more comfortable, especially around this time. I was trying to get more comfortable with doing color schemes that were vastly different on an interior compared to the exterior. I think the times that that's difficult for me is if the window color is shown on the inside. Do you know what I mean? So if I had picked like a dark wood tone for these windows from Seasons, you would see it on the interior, and therefore it would kind of dictate the wood tones I used inside. I hope that translates okay, because that's just kind of how my brain is working lately, where if I'm seeing like a dark tone from a window, I feel like I have to pull that tone onto the interior, otherwise it looks funny. That could be the same too for windows that are, I'm thinking of the ones from Discover University, the little, what are they called? The shuttered windows. Those, there's a dark blue swatch, which I love using on builds, but it shows inside, and therefore I feel like I have to match the interior colors to the dark blue window. So that's just me. I don't know if everyone feels that way, but it makes it really difficult for me. So I was very grateful that these had the white windows, because I was able to go a lot lighter inside, but kind of still bring some of those darker accents. So you can see here in the kitchen, we have the black countertops, but the actual cabinets above, and of course like the countertops themselves and the appliances, everything is white. So it gives it that stark contrast, but it allows me to just play with more color. So I really liked it, and I really liked this kitchen and the little breakfast table. I have been doing it a lot. I haven't stopped yet, but basically I like putting breakfast tables in kitchens and having a formal dining space. So in the house that I grew up in, I had for the most part, a breakfast bar type thing. It was kind of awesome. So we didn't have one to begin with. Like when my parents actually bought the house, they didn't build a breakfast bar as part of the construction. It was completely open, and they had like a small breakfast table in there. But eventually my mom got, I think it's still like this. So she had this nice table. It almost was a full-size dining table, I'm pretty sure, or it is. And she grabbed these 2 cabinets, and she literally balanced the table on top of the cabinets and made it somewhat bar height, and that's literally our breakfast bar. So there was no like construction. This is not like rooted in the room. This was not meant to be there. She made like a faux breakfast bar by like stacking a table on top of some cabinets. Still there to this day. So I really like the idea of breakfast bars or little breakfast tables, because then when you have like holidays and big formal events, you can go do it in the dining room. You kind of just have like this nice separate special space. On the contrary though, dining rooms, formal ones, in my experience, are not used very often. So it could be considered a waste of space depending on who you are and what your perspective is. Anyway, I went on a tangent. This is pretty much the little breakfast area as well as the kitchen. I loved using those chairs from, I want to say Parenthood, because I don't use them a lot at all. They just really seemed to fit here. They're kind of delicate. They seem almost somewhat dainty, and I really, really liked that for the breakfast table. But then I also was able to use these chairs from Seasons for the dining room. And right here, I knew that I was going to love this house. I don't know why, it just felt very welcoming. That's usually what I'm going for with my builds. I want them to be warm, welcoming, and homey. I want them to feel lived in. You guys have heard this a million times from me, but this one just felt very, very cozy, even though it was so light. Like usually for me, lighter color schemes are almost a little bit too vibrant. I feel like they make me a little bit more energized than they do put me at ease. I'm not sure if others feel that way too, but this one was kind of a nice balance. I just really liked it. I loved having the fireplace in the dining room here, and there's also going to be a fireplace in the living room. I think those are the only fireplaces. There are definitely times where I build homes and I try to put fireplaces in tons of rooms just because I really like what I would consider the luxury of it. I have again, in my childhood home, there's a fireplace. We didn't use it super, super often, but now if I'm there and it seems appropriate, I like always want the fireplace lit because I'm in an apartment and I don't have a fireplace or anything like it. And it kind of stinks. I really love fireplaces. But you can see that we are working on the hallway areas because there is kind of like this awkward long hallway from the entryway as well as leading into the dining room. Sorry, I'm like talking so much that I can't catch my breath yet again. But there is just a bookcase, I think, in the hallway. In the entryway, we do put, I want to say, just some clutter with like coats, jackets, maybe shoes. Actually, no, not shoes, because at the time, I don't think we had Dream Home Decorator yet. I can't remember if we had Dream Home Decorator when this was built. Wow. No, I don't think we did. No, we did. I just pulled out the shoes. Okay. That's so weird. It's so weird to try to think back because at this point, obviously, we didn't have cottage living either. So if you're thinking like, oh, you could have put this item from cottage living there, We didn't have it yet when I built this. This is so awkward. This is so weird. Why did I do this to myself? Anyway, this is going to be the living room. We have this beautiful fireplace from Cats and Dogs that I do not get to use in builds because it is very big. And once cottage living came out, I was using those fireplaces a lot more, but I do really like this living room. I was kind of going with the same color scheme as the dining and kitchen, but I ended up swapping these couches out for ones from Eco Lifestyle, which now that I'm watching it back, I probably would have kept the Seasons ones, to be totally fair. I think because the Seasons ones just looked more... Did they look a little bit more traditional? I mean, they do look very modern, but I think the Eco Lifestyle ones are just very rustic, which maybe fits a little bit more with this house. I don't know. I probably would have kept the Seasons ones just because of the gray tones that were in it, but these ones from Eco Lifestyle are also very pretty, very simple and clean looking, and it was a decent sized living room. I was kind of surprised that I was able to get both of these couches in here and one of the larger coffee tables. I talk about this very often when I try to use one of these freaking coffee tables, but they're just so big that it's hard to fit them in a lot of the living rooms that I end up making. I usually have a couch, maybe an armchair. I have one of the skinny little coffee tables, and if I'm lucky, I'm able to squeeze in a fireplace with a TV over it. Since this room was big enough, I was able to use this larger coffee table, which made me very, very happy. I love this one from Parenthood, and there were a fair amount of plants that ended up in this room originally that I ended up scaling back because I don't think they worked. I was tried real hard to use Journey to Batu here. Couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. I was unable to do it, but the living room is very, very cozy. Now downstairs, the room that we're about to move into, this is going to be the teenage girls' room. And there's another room that I think is downstairs. I can't remember if it's downstairs or not. But there is another room that's basically an office / a little toddler play area. So when one of the parents is working at whatever they do for work, the toddlers can play in the same room. They can keep an eye on them. That could be turned into a bedroom if you wanted to. So now that I'm thinking back on it, this could be a 4-bed, like 2 or 3 bath. I think there's 3 bathrooms here. I'm not quite sure, but this teenage girl's room is actually right off the dining room. It's a little bit awkward. It's a weird space to have a room, especially a bedroom. It could have been the office and would have made a little bit more sense, but I wanted this teenage girl to have to me, this would be like the dream bedroom for a teenager, because for me, I had like a twin bed, which I'm sure most people did. I had a twin bed and I had a decent sized room, but I always wanted a double bed or like a king, even as a teenager. I don't think I expressed this, but I always loved the idea of having like a big, large bed to myself. And also, I was lucky enough to have a desk in my room and a computer at some point. My mom was kind of against this, but I wanted to ensure that this teen had basically their own space to get away from their family. And that's always my goal with teen rooms, is to be able to give them a little bit of privacy and a place for self-expression in the decorating style and everything else. So this is, I think, a very, very pretty teens room. I really, really like it. We have some movie posters above the bed. We've got a desk. We've got the wardrobe. I think I place a soccer ball in here. So maybe this teen is really into soccer and maybe just really into cinema as well with those movie posters. That would be kind of fun. I wish that was a hobby. I mean, I guess we have acting, right? That's kind of a hobby. Maybe she's really into theater. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe she's really into theater. She likes soccer, she practices yoga and meditation, so I think she's really into wellness. She's becoming a very well-rounded teen. That's kind of my thought. Do you guys like that? I kind of like that. I kind of enjoy it. But here I am just kind of struggling with how to place a few different things because I didn't want it to look over cluttered. I also didn't want it to look too youthful since I was envisioning a teen, not a preteen. Oh, and speaking of preteens, hold on. Did you guys see that new mod that came out? It was like the preteen mod. I know there was an issue with the genetics that has since been resolved, but I'm very excited about this. It literally adds a preteen life stage, which is amazing. I don't know all of the specifics, but I saw it floating around on Twitter and it made me really excited. I don't use a lot of mods for content that I actually create for YouTube for you guys, because I know that mods are not accessible for everybody. I think the only thing that I really religiously use is actually the red shelf to clutter things up, but I don't use a lot of custom content or mods just because I know there are accessibility issues. And to be fair, I don't actually like using a lot of custom content. It's really more about my preference. I don't enjoy doing it that much, but that mod looks amazing because for my personal gameplay, I use a lot of mods. I will use a lot of mods, a lot of custom content simply because I can, and it helps for storytelling. So I might be using that preteen mod for just my own personal gameplay because I think it's fantastic. I'm like dying for a preteen life stage. When we got The Sims 4 and we didn't have toddlers. Okay, story time. I didn't play The Sims 4 for a few years, to be honest with you. I want to say a few years until we got the toddler update. Like one day, I think I was at work and I happened to log into Origin when I got home and it was like, surprise, you have toddlers now. And I was shooketh to my freaking core because that was the reason why I didn't play The Sims 4. Truthfully, it was the reason why I didn't play it. Like upon release, I played it. I mean, I stayed up all night playing it a few times because I was so excited about it. But as I was going through it, I was really missing that authentic life stage. And then after we had toddlers and I was kind of used to having them, so thrilled, playing The Sims all the time, I started pining for a preteen life stage because going from a child to a teenager, where the teenagers in The Sims 4 really do look just like young adults, it's challenging to make them look very youthful, I think. I really desperately wanted a preteen life stage. I've used height sliders before, which of course are custom content / mods. So again, I know that that's not really accessible to everybody, but I have used height sliders and default height things in Create a Sim to make teenagers look younger and smaller, specifically making them shorter. But this mod is really cool because your Sims will go to middle school, so they're not going to go to high school. I mean, again, it adds, I think, custom homework and stuff like that. I think they have to enroll technically in middle school, and you can't create preteens in Create a Sim. They have to age into preteens. So there are some technicalities with it, some restrictions, if you will, but I'm really excited about it because I love stuff like that. But anyway, I talked through this entire office / toddler space. It was a little bit tough because the room was really skinny. I didn't realize it was this skinny, and again, this freaking tent that I really like is so big. It's so large. It's so difficult to use in my opinion, but I wanted to use it here, so I just stuffed it in a corner. And yes, I did see that the curtain was clipping through it. I fixed that for when I upload it to the gallery. In the screenshot, you're going to see it though, so just don't judge me. But we are moving on to the second story, which does have 2 other bathrooms. So I think there was a full bathroom downstairs as well as a half bath, and then there's 2 full bathrooms upstairs. This is where the toddler room is, and of course the parents' room. Now the toddler room is one of my favorite rooms that I've ever made, and I completely forgot how much I loved it because I forgot I made this build and forgot that I never put it up on the channel. But I really liked it because I was able to use, you guys will see it, the like toy treehouse thing that I was able to use. I don't use it ever because 1, it's huge, just like the doll houses, and 2, I never really came up with a color scheme that I thought it worked for, so you guys will see that. But this is a bathroom that's mainly for, I want to say, the toddlers. I think it's probably for the toddlers. I didn't add like toddler toys, but I kind of used the parenthood shower tub combo. Felt more so catered to the toddlers, and then the parents will have another bathroom. But I'm not sure, I could prove myself wrong when we get to that other bathroom if I filmed it, but this ends up being the toddler room, and it was kind of an awkward shape, so it was difficult for me to kind of lay some things out. But there's kind of this like car sports theme that I ended up going with. I used a lot of bright blues and yellows and reds, and that is why I could use the treehouse. I was thrilled. Now, I don't know what these toddlers' interests are per se. They are just toddlers, so they are still becoming themselves. They're really exploring different things in their interests, but it is a very cute theme. I was able to use these little car shelves too from base game. They're so precious. I really, really love using them. And I stuffed this little toy here over by the end of the bed, and that left the rest of the room for like a wardrobe and some other toddler toys because I didn't add anything downstairs for toddlers or kids really. I think there might have been the toy box from Parenthood that's not actually a toy box. That would have been such a good opportunity, by the way. If Parenthood is ever refreshed in any way, shape, or form, I could just go down a rabbit hole right now. Anyway, it would have been really cool if that was an actual toy box, but this is the little treehouse thing I was talking about. I did size it down, I want to say 1, and it still works perfectly fine, and I stuffed it in that corner, so it's really nice because then the toddlers will be able to play with that. They have 2 little armchairs as well that they could like sit and look at their picture books. I just thought it was a really cute space. It would be very overstimulating, I think, for toddlers in their bedroom, but you know what, we don't have to worry about that because it is just The Sims. I add a few different wall decorations as well just to kind of spice it up. decorated a little bit more. I added a little bookcase, and then I did make that faux changing table as well with the dresser and an ottoman because I was envisioning that these toddlers are still in diapers. They're not yet potty trained. In that hallway, there is a dresser for, what am I trying to say? Like, toiletries? No, not toiletries, like towels and things like that. I'm saying like a lot here because I don't know what to say. Anyway, this is the parents' bedroom. It is very calming. There's a mix of white and some darker wood tones here in the furnishings that I chose. Again, it's kind of an odd shaped room, but I ended up having more space at each end than I was anticipating. So there is a dresser over here, and I was able to use that Dream Home Decorator rug, this beautiful flower decoration from Base Game. It ended up being a very soft, peaceful room for me. I'm not a huge fan of purple. It's not a color I really enjoy, but I think the combination here was so relaxing. This would be an ideal bedroom for me, even though I don't like purple. Like, I think it would have been perfect for me because it's so calming and relaxing, and that's what you want in your bedroom. You don't want to be super stimulated when you're trying to go to sleep, right? I've been focusing on this a lot personally, which is why I keep mentioning it. I'm trying to make my bedroom just complete and total zen, so I'm not feeling distracted or completely stimulated as I'm trying to just go to sleep and wind down. But yeah, the parents actually end up having a desk of their own, which is really nice. I don't believe I gave them the family computer. This is kind of interesting because there is that office where the toddlers can play, so maybe that is more so the family computer, and this is where one of the parents does a lot of their work. I don't really know. You could make it go either way, but since the teen doesn't have their own computer, then I want one of them to be... I said than instead of then. That was a grammar mistake. Forgive me. But then I want the teenager to be able to have access to some computer. So I don't know. But now we're working on the exterior again, trying to figure out where I was going to fence things in, what kind of decorations I wanted to use for the landscaping to carry it through. And it was hard. It was really difficult. I didn't really know what I wanted to do here. But we did, of course, figure it out, because if we didn't, then I wouldn't be posting this build. But yeah, I did carry the landscaping through the gate, so you can access the backyard from the front of the house, but I believe your Sims will most likely just go through the house anyway. There is a way to get to the back, I believe. Oh my gosh, did I actually create a back porch? I did. There's 2 back porches, right? I think I did. I can't even remember anymore, but there is, of course, a gate to get to the backyard. There is a small swimming pool, outside dining. There's a swing set. I believe there's some gardening boxes too, so there are a few different activities for adults and children and teens to partake in. Now, I think there's also a toddler pool, because since I put 2 toddlers in this home and I was envisioning 2 toddlers as part of this family, I wanted there to be something for them to do outside. I considered making a sandbox, and I don't believe I actually ended up doing it, but that's something you could, of course, add to if you wanted to, because that's a great activity for everyone of all of the lifespans, all of the different stages that we have in The Sims, aside from our object babies, of course. Just saying. Anyway, I kind of stacked a few of these shrubs here to match the level of the foundation, because it was a little bit higher than I thought, and I wanted to cover it up a little bit. Now, I think the foundation matches perfectly fine, but I kind of like covering the foundation because they just look odd to me. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but they always look weird to me, so I try to cover them. But there is a back porch. I'm not losing it. There is a back porch, which is really nice, so your Sims can just access the backyard from the house. There are definitely times where I will make a house and I won't provide access to the backyard from the house itself, which is kind of weird. I make those decisions sometimes though, and they work out okay. But the landscaping is pretty much almost done here. It took a long time just because I was trying to plan out where all the activities were going to go, but this is where the pool is going to go. And again, it's really small. This is not an Olympic-sized pool. This is a tiny pool. But I think it's kind of a luxury to even have a pool at all. So they have a pool, which is really nice. I use this very dark, almost black, I would call it black tile to kind of create the walkways and everything. I thought it matched with the roof. It was a really stark contrast. That's what I was trying to say. And I think it looked really nice with the white fence. And yeah, I don't know, I just really liked it. It's a little bit unusual, I think, with how I would typically design backyards, but I was trying to be a bit adventurous back in June, apparently, and come up with something that was a little bit different. It's almost very symmetrical to me, though. I'm noticing that now as I'm laying things down. And you know what I think I struggle with in using actual tiles like this for backyards to define spaces is that they just look so abruptly cut off. They don't ease into the grass textures or anything, which is why I typically will just use terrain paint instead. However, it worked out here. There are 2 lounge chairs for the parents to just relax by the pool. I fenced in this tree because why not? And then I just lay down the rest of the activities, and that is pretty much it for the build. I will leave you guys here. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
You better tell the truth real fast, and then we're probably done at last. 'Cause I got somewhere to be, and you're done deceiving me into thinking I couldn't do better. Yeah, I know I was probably crazy, thinking someday you'd change. There's nothing left to do now, so I'm playing the game. And so, heartbreaker, I've been working you out. You made loads of mistakes, but none that you talk about. I'm watching every move you make, and I'm on to you. Come on, heartbreaker, give in and surrender to me. You should have probably let me go, but you've got a porcelain ego, talking fast and punching low, making sure that there are no traces of thinking I could have done better. Yeah, I know I was probably crazy, thinking someday you'd change. There's nothing left to do now, so I'm playing the game. And so, heartbreaker, I've been working you out. You made loads of mistakes, but none that you talk about.